Over the weekend, I spent some time watching Star Trek, the original series, which I've seen many times, but I'm watching in order from the beginning. And I did notice in these HDX versions of that I have on Fandango at home. I think I mentioned in the last vlog I have the DVD sets, but these are all remastered. And so if you look at the description, if you're watching these, and this may be true for the Blu-rays as well, it will say the remastered edition enhances the special effects with some surprises. And I do notice that it's really interesting, having not seen the show for many years, that I do notice the changes in it. I do notice when they've added something. And I thought maybe I wasn't going to like it, but I do like it. I like the enhancements that are made. It kind of changes the show for me a little bit. It's just interesting that I have a memory of the show from when I first saw these episodes years ago, and I rewatched many of them. But now seeing it again, I like the changes that were made, especially with the remastered, the opening and some of the special effects and some of the shots of the planet and things like that were not in the original series. So it's really entertaining so far. Let me know too if you have the Blu-rays, or if you're watching this maybe on digital, whether what if you like the show and if you like what they did to the show. But I'm liking it so far. If you're familiar with the channel, you know how much I love Blake Edwards and Peter Sellers, and this is something I'm looking forward to this week. I've watched I think I watched a preview of this, and it's on PBS, and so we're just looking for a way to watch it tonight. It looks like it's going to be available for a limited time on pbs.org. I don't know if this will go into next week. This vlog will be out next week, but it's called Blake Edwards, A Love Story in 24 Frames. Explore the story of filmmaker Blake Edwards, known obviously for comedies like The Pink Panther, but so many other films too. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm such a big fan of Blake Edwards, and I watched many interviews with him, and I'm just really looking forward to this. So this is something I'm excited about watching this week. Last night I watched what is now one of my favorite documentaries of the year, and it's called Blake Edwards, A Love Story in 24 Frames. It's an American Masters presentation on PBS. So if you have the PBS app, or if you have a Roku TV, you can get the PBS app as well and watch there. I think it's available for a limited time. I'm not really sure, but I really enjoyed it. Again, one of my favorite documentaries of the year. I've talked about Blake Edwards on the channel before, and these are just a few of his many films. One of my favorite films that they talk about a little bit at the end is a movie with Jack Lemmon and Julie Andrews called That's Life. It's very autobiographical. It seems like it was filmed on his property as well, which I really didn't know. There's a lot of interesting things too when you watch a documentary. I feel like there are new things that you learn, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to learn anything new about Blake Edwards, but I certainly did. This one is narrated by Julie Andrews for the most part. It features his children. It talks a lot about his family, his relationship with Julie Andrews. There are some home movies. They talk about the wedding of Blake Edwards and Julie Andrews, and which was also very interesting because they had some cameras set up and they never worked, so they only have photographs apparently. Lots of great information in there. And I was pretty emotional actually watching it for some reason. I just love Blake Edwards so much. I love Peter Sellers. I've talked about this before on the channel, but this is the Pink Panther collection that I have, the 6 film collection with Peter Sellers. And I really wish I had the Blu-ray collection. I know there's a Blu-ray collection out of this, and I don't have it. Let me know too in the comments if you have the Blu-ray collection or what you think of it. But this is perfectly fine. I've watched these DVDs and they look great. So, also The Great Race, this is a Warner Archive release, which is really good. Also in Warner Archive, I believe the Wild Rovers Wild Rovers and SOB are also in the Warner Archive, or there's a Warner Archive release for those. This is the movie 10, which I think only has a DVD, but feel free to correct me in the comments below. I remember seeing this in the theater and was really, again, a fan of Dudley Moore, but this is also really good. These are just a few, too, by the way. There's so many more that I could talk about, but also Breakfast at Tiffany's, which has probably one of the most romantic songs in it, Moon River. So there's a lot of discussion in the documentary about Blake Edwards' collaboration with Henry Mancini, which is amazing also. And, you know, their connection and their working together through a number of different films. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is really good as well. This one has, I think, looks like some extra features on it. Anytime I can hear a director talk about his work too, I love that. This one has it looks like a feature on Henry Mancini. So anyway, I really highly recommend the documentary. If you get a chance to see it, it looks like it's going to be available for a limited time on PBS, or if you're already subscribed to PBS, maybe you can see that all the time. But I really enjoyed it. So many great things about it, and I really learned a lot about Blake Edwards. I already felt I knew quite a bit about him beforehand, but I certainly learned a lot more too. They also talk about another film I guess I forgot to mention in Warner Archive, Days of Wine and Roses, which is a very dramatic film. They talk about his dramatic work as well and the range that he has as a director. So anyway, it's really great. I highly recommend it. Let me know in the comments below too if you've seen the documentary, and if you're a fan of Blake Edwards or any of the people that I've mentioned here too, I highly recommend it. We have AMC Plus, and we just saw online that there's this show that looked interesting to us called Horror's Greatest, and especially with the fall season coming up, this looked pretty interesting. It's like a horror documentary, and I guess there's only one episode right now, but there's another episode coming out in a little bit. So there's only one episode of this. It's called Horror's Greatest. Season 1, Masters of Horror celebrate the best of the genre, the essential giant monsters and must-see Stephen King adaptations, wildest Japanese horror films, and funniest horror comedies, plus a deep dive into films that embrace, there's more here, but anyway, this looks pretty good, and I guess it just came out, so I think we'll probably be watching this as well. Looks really good, and it's perfect for the season right now. The AMC Plus show reminded us of one of our favorite documentary type series, which I think was on Shudder. It's called Cursed Films. Yeah, this is a Shudder original series. The myths and legends behind Poltergeist, The Omen, The Exorcist, The Crow, and Twilight Zone the movie. This is season 1, and then I think we've seen most of these, but then we also picked up season 2, which is still sealed here, but this one has the myths and legends behind The Wizard of Oz, Rosemary's Baby, Stalker, The Serpent and the Rainbow, and Cannibal Holocaust. So this looks really cool. So these are usually we usually like to watch a little bit of these just to get us into the mood for some scarier films. And because there's so much glare here, but anyway, let me know in the comments too if you've watched any of these, if you have Shudder, if you have any particular series that you watch around this time of year. But it seems like the fall is coming so quickly, and the Halloween season not too far behind. There's a field right behind our house here, and sometimes we hear a strange noise, and it looks like there's a tractor coming. Oh, it is tractor day. The start of tractor season on the field. Right past the tree line there. This is a new thing we've been doing. Well, we've only done it twice so far, but I would say we're developing a pattern with it. For some homemade pizzas, we used to order some Domino's. We used to get Domino's pizzas, but we've been doing these home pizzas. These are just pita breads from Wegmans, and then we have mozzarella cheese, and we have these Angus beef meatballs we put on here, and pepperoni, and then a little bit of Parmesan cheese.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing lately for pizza. So I guess we haven't shown too much food on the vlog, so we'll just showing a little bit today.
We'll show when it's cooked.
We'll show it. Yeah, we'll show when it's all done cooking. when it comes out of the oven. And here are the finished pizzas, and Jesse and I were joking too, because now that I'm watching Star Trek, the original series, we sort of thought this looked like the rock creature from Star Trek, so if you know, you know. So these are our pizzas that we like lately. It seems like every time we turn on the camera now, the light isn't flickering.
Well,
but we have this light in the kitchen. Maybe it'll do it while we're filming, but it feels like Paranormal Activity.
I know, because I think the whole day the light was fine. But last night and tonight it's been acting up.
So we got some light bulbs at the store.
But it's a tricky light to switch.
Yeah, that's true.
The light bulbs would change.
Because it's over the counter,
it's
right?
It's over this.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
But of course, when we talk about it and try and get on camera,
it doesn't do it.
Yeah. But it just did it a lot, so I don't know.
It did. I know it did it a lot. So maybe if I turn the light off and then turn it back on again, do you think that'll help?
I don't know. Well, maybe you can get it on film, because when you turn the light off, it glows.
It glows a little bit, right? Yeah. So what do we have to say about Horror's Greatest?
I think it's a great show.
Yeah, that's our review. It's a great show.
Great show.
The episode we saw was Tropes and Cliches, and I guess I was really surprised at how many of the films I haven't seen and that I would like to see, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, looked like a really good one that kind of played with the idea of different cliches in horror movies.
Yeah.
And of course we like horror comedies too, I think, right?
Yeah, I think that might be like in 2 weeks there's an episode about horror comedies, which will be fun.
Yeah, they talked about Hot Fuzz and like Shaun of the Dead. I don't know if they touched on Shaun of the Dead, but we saw a couple clips of
Hot Fuzz,
which I feel like there's a 3-movie pack, I think, with those movies in there, including Shaun of the Dead, which we already have. Yeah, we go that way, sure.
All right. There's some sky.
Plenty of sky. It's very hot here today.
Very hot. I'm just in the corner down here.
So the next one is about monsters, right? So they're going to talk about King Kong and Godzilla and all the different monsters.
Yeah. Well, the episode's like really packed with a lot of like, this one was like tropes and cliches, and it had probably 5 or 6 different topics within. So it's not just like, I thought they were only going to talk about like 5 or 6 movies, and they talk about a lot more than that.
Yeah. And there's so many I'd like to see. I mean, I think if I had only one issue with the show is that it really went fast. You really have to watch the names of the movies if you haven't seen them before. I was trying to write down, like we were even thinking today that we might watch it again so we could take, I wanted to
so we can like make a list of things we want to see.
Well, because a lot of times when I watch one of these shows, I want to add things to my list of movies to pick up.
Yeah.
And I only caught a couple of them. But I thought that other horror movie with, and I can't remember the name of it, with the backup camera, where they started using like the backup camera for one of the...
Oh, yeah.
Which was kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
Which I put on my list.
I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but if you have AMC Plus or Shudder...
I don't know that it's on Shudder. I think it might just be an AMC original.
AMC Plus?
I don't know.
I really hope there's physical media for it too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times with these shows, I would really like to have it as a reference, but who knows if they're going to make physical media for this thing.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
But Horror's Greatest on AMC Plus. Highly recommend.
It's great.
One of the movies they talked about on Horror's Greatest last night is this one, which I realized I had a copy of, called Race with the Devil, with Peter Fonda and Warren Oates, and this comes in this action-packed double feature DVD set, and this looked pretty cool. I'll just read a little bit of the back. For old friends Roger, played by Peter Fonda, and Frank, Warren Oates, and their wives, and Lara Parker and Loretta Swit is in this too from MASH. It was supposed to be, quote, the best damn vacation they ever had, but their RV road trip takes a deadly detour at a secluded campsite when they accidentally witness a satanic sacrifice and race with the devil. So this is another kind of road movie. Horror hits the highway is the way they say it. This has some extra features on it also. But I thought, this is really cool that they talked about this movie so much in the series, and really makes me want to watch it. It's from 1975. Yeah, it's from 1975, and so I love movies from the 70s, and I thought this was going to be a perfect one to watch. So I think probably I need to watch that episode again so I can make some notes of all the movies that I would like to pick up based on watching it. There's so many there's a lot that I have, but there's so much that I don't have, which I feel like is a dilemma for any collector. But this is what I'm definitely going to watch very soon.